Hello and welcome back. This is the top movies I saw in theaters for 2015. And in case you couldn't tell by the last couple lists, this is going to be the top 5 movies as opposed to the top 12 that I've done in previous years. And if you don't know why, go back and watch the bottom 5 because I believe I've explained it in there. And I really don't want to spend a lot of time talking because in case you can't tell by the sound of my voice, I am extremely under the weather right now. That's why I look like crap. My hair is a mess. I really should have filmed this the other day when I filmed the other videos, but it was getting close to the time that my roommates normally come home, and I wasn't sure if I had enough time. So I was like, well, I'll do it tomorrow, and of course today I woke up just feeling like crap. But I gotta get done, the roommates are out of the house, so let's get through this, shall we? Number 5. So the number 5 top movie that I saw this year in theaters, again, this is just the movies I saw in theaters. Yes, there were probably better movies that came out than these, but these are the ones that I actually saw. So the number 5 top movie on my list for this year was Inside Out. Now, if you've been watching my other video, you may have noticed that I mentioned The Good Dinosaur in that one, and why is The Good Dinosaur getting a bottom review when Inside Out is getting a top review? Well, because Inside Out, yes, it's a Pixar movie. Yes, it tells the same Pixar story that every other Pixar movie tells, but this one did it in a unique way. From the emotions inside of a teen girl's head, where The Good Dinosaur was more just, hey, here's the same story except we're using dinosaurs this time instead of cars or planes or whatever. And it was just overall enjoyable, and anybody who has young children, especially daughters, it really speaks to you about what they go through dealing with their emotional spectrum, and that's why Inside Out is ranked number 5 on the top movies I saw in 2015. Number 4. So the number 4 movie on my top 5 that I saw this year goes to The Martian. Not really a whole lot to say about why this is here other than I wrote the story, so it was seeing one of my visions come to life. I didn't personally write this story, but it was a concept I was toying with at one point, and I was like, that could make an interesting movie, and then here it is. So I actually get to see something that I conceptualized at some point in my life come to life on the big screen, and it was fun. There were probably other movies that should have ranked above this, but just for those reasons alone, The Martian is number 4 on my list of top 5 movies I saw for 2015. Number 3. Okay, so the number 3 movie on this list actually changed places quite a bit because, as some of you may have known, I put this list together, but there was still like 3 or 4 more movies I wanted to see throughout the year, and at least one of those movies changed my positioning. 3 actually got moved to a different spot on the list, and one item got bumped off the list altogether in favor of something else, but we'll get more into that later. So the number 3 pick for my top movies that I saw in 2015 goes to The Visit. This movie, although it had its flaws, as I stated in its review, with the whole found footage aspect and all that, it was just a fun ride all the way through. It brought back M. Night Shyamalan to his early days with the interesting twist ending that you kind of saw coming, but you didn't, because he has this beautiful way of misdirecting you to where you forget about certain things until they come back into play. And overall, it was just a fun ride. This was, I'm going to spoil this a little bit, this was actually originally ranked a lot higher on my list. I'm not going to say what position it was in, but as you watch the list, it'll probably be easy to figure out. And that's why The Visit is number 3 on my list of top movies that I saw for 2015. Number 2. Okay, so the number 2 spot on this list is actually one that changed twice, and that's because number 2 was originally going to go to The Visit, and I had a different one for number 3. However, when this one took over the number 2 spot, I bumped The Visit down to number 3, and then the one that was originally number 3, instead of going to number 4, completely got bumped off the list, just because I still liked The Martian and Inside Out more than that, and I didn't feel that downgrading them would be justifiable. So in turn, it got bumped from the list in favor of the number 2 film for this year, which was Star Wars The Force Awakens. Yes, this movie has a lot of flaws, which I pointed out in other various mediums, not necessarily the review, but Facebook and Twitter. I pointed out quite a bit of the issues I had with this movie. But overall, it was a well-done movie. It was fun to watch. As I've heard someone else state it, it's not really a Star Wars film as much as it's a $40 million fan film. But other than that, it was definitely enjoyable. Brought me back to what I feel that everyone originally liked about Star Wars without going too off the rails like the prequels did. Short of it being a shot-for-shot remake of the original Star Wars, it was still a fun ride. And that's why Star Wars The Force Awakens bumped The Visit from the number 2 position on my list of top movies I saw in 2015. Okay, so here we are at the end of the list, and you may be asking yourself, what movie could have possibly ranked higher than Star Wars in this list? And I'll tell you, but first let's get into some honorable mentions. So the first honorable mention on this list is what was originally going to be number 3 on my list, before being bumped in place of The Visit. And in case you didn't catch my little hint earlier, the honorable mention that was originally number 3 on my list goes to The Intern. Not really a whole lot to say about it. It was just a fun little ride of a movie. And it was really hard to pick a number 2 spot on this list, and The Intern fell in there just out of kind of necessity. Like, I liked the movie, but I wasn't sure where to place it. And as I was going through trying to figure out where it was going to fall in the line, it was really a toss-up between The Visit and The Intern for the 2 and 3 spot. And I originally ended up putting The Intern at number 3 with The Visit at number 2, just because I like The Visit that much more. And like I said, when The Visit got bumped down to number 3, I didn't really feel justified with putting The Intern in place of The Martian or Inside Out and completely bumping one of those off the list. So in turn, The Intern got bumped down to just being an honorable mention in the list of top movies for 2015. Had this still been a top 12 video, this probably would have easily fit in there somewhere, but because it's not, it's just an honorable mention. The second honorable mention on this list goes to a movie that also fought it out with The Intern for the number 3 spot, and I had to really decide which one I liked more versus the other. And again, had this continued to be a top 12 list, this one definitely would have made it on there somewhere, and that goes to Victor Frankenstein. Again, when choosing which one would actually end up in the top 5, I had to decide which one I actually enjoyed more, Victor Frankenstein or The Intern. And I actually like them both about evenly. The only reason The Intern won out is because Victor Frankenstein is a movie I've seen done many, many, many times. Even though this was a new, interesting, unique take on it, it was still the story of Frankenstein. So that's why The Intern kind of ranked above it, and why Victor Frankenstein is only an honorable mention on this year's list of top movies that I saw for 2015. And the last honorable mention goes to a film that I just recently saw. I did enjoy it, but I didn't feel that it was enough of an enjoyment to really bump anything else off this list, and that goes to Daddy's Home. Fun little comedy, but like I said, it just wasn't strong enough on its own to really bump anything else from the list, but it was still enjoyable enough to where it would have made it into my top 12 had I done a top 12. So just like Intern and Victor Frankenstein, it gets an honorable mention on my list of top movies I saw in theaters for 2015. Number 1. Okay, so here we are. Finally, we got 5 through 2 done. We got our honorable mentions in. So what movie could possibly be seen at the number 1 spot if not Star Wars? Well, let me tell you. The number 1 position on the top movies I saw in 2015 goes to Ant-Man. Yes, Ant-Man. I really enjoyed this film so much. I'm sure there were flaws in it, but I just couldn't point them out, or even if I could, they just weren't enough to make me dislike this film at all. Unlike with Star Wars, there were flaws that I was like, had they done this, it could have been better. Ant-Man, I just didn't see that. Short of a couple pacing issues, it was an awesome movie. If you're asking why Avengers Age of Ultron didn't make it on this list and Ant-Man did. Honestly, I just enjoyed Ant-Man better than I did Avengers. As I said in that review, had Ant-Man came out leading into Avengers, I might have enjoyed Avengers more because it would have gave it more of a setup. However, in the long run, Avengers Age of Ultron almost falls into the same realm as Maze Runner Scorch Trials, where overall it's just an A to B movie. It's like, here's all our characters and let's progress them to a point where they get to where we need them to be for the next film. But it's not really a necessity, other than it does introduce a few new characters. It does a lot better job bridging that arc than Scorch Trials did, which is why it didn't end up on the bottom list either. But overall, Avengers just kind of fell flat with me this year. I'm hoping the next one is going to be a lot better. I'm expecting a lot from Captain America Civil War, Thor Ragnarok, all those other things that are coming up. But unfortunately, Age of Ultron just kind of fell flat for me, which is why it didn't even end up in my top 5 list. Had this been a top 12 list, it probably would have been number 12, if that. Honestly, I don't even know for sure it would have made that list, other than if I needed one more spot filled. But Ant-Man, on the other hand, was a lot more enjoyable. Just some of the things they did with the shrinking and enlarging was something you don't see every day. You know, a lot of people said leading into this, Ant-Man is such a crap character, you know, what's so cool about being able to shrink down to the size of an ant? Well, I think this movie showed you. It gave you everything you needed to know to enjoy Ant-Man. Even if you don't follow the comics, which I don't really follow Ant-Man comics, but I knew enough about the character to want to see this film, and going into it, it was a lot better than I thought it was ever going to be, and it just really played out really well. So that's why Ant-Man is ranked number 1 on my top 5 movies I saw of 2015. And there you have it. That's my list for 2015. Again, these are my opinions, and it's based solely on the movies I was able to see in theaters this year. If I was able to get around to seeing every movie that ever comes out, this list would probably be way different. I'd probably still be doing a top 12 or more, top 20, who knows. But based on the limited number of films I saw this year and limiting this to a top 5, this is the way they fall for me. So, again, if you want to say something else was a better movie or a worse movie, you don't have to argue my opinion, because this is my opinion. I'm entitled to mine, you're entitled to yours. But I'm interested in seeing what you guys thought were the top movies of the year. So there's a comment section down below, so please feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you thought. Also, remember to like, comment, rate, subscribe, and share this video, as it helps our network grow, lets me know what you guys want to see more of. And I really need to work on this ending speech, because I just completely blanked out on what I wanted to say. But again, thanks for watching, and we will see you next year in 2016 at the start of the year with our CES 2016 coverage. So until then, again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.